Hi, my name is Parker Mills, and the title of my presentation is Your Financial Map: Why Planning Determines Destination. So, I want you to imagine that you've had this cross-country road trip planned for weeks, and the day comes, you get everyone in the car, the kids are all buckled, bags are packed, and there's just so much excitement. But as you go along, you realize you don't have access to a map, any type of phone, or a GPS. So, you're going along with your trip with absolutely no guidance. You're going to end up somewhere, but it might not be where you want it to be. In fact, it probably definitely won't be where you want it to be. It seems silly to us to go on a trip without a map, but when it comes to finances, that is unfortunately how most people handle their money. They don't have plans and they don't have guidance. And just like if you were to go on a road trip without any guidance, they don't end up at their desired destination. And in a study done by Charles Schwab, they found that only 36% of people have a written financial plan. That seems like a very low number. As part of that study, they decided to ask the 64% that did not have a written financial plan why that is. What is their reason for not having a financial plan? 21% of those people said that they had no time. They just didn't have the time to sit down and look at their financials and to make a plan, to make goals, and to stick to them. 25% of people said it was because it's too complicated. And while it is true that finances can be very scary and daunting at times and confusing, there are plenty of tools out there that can help you, including financial advisors, and I will get into that more later. But by far the biggest reason that people said they didn't have a financial plan was they said they didn't have enough money. In fact, 43% of those people said it was because they didn't have enough money. So I wanted to show in a little bit of example of people that do have a very high income, but how that doesn't necessarily correlate into having financial freedom. So Sports Illustrated did a study on professional athletes. When we think of professional athletes and their income, it's huge. These athletes earn at times more than the average person earn in their entire lifetime, and these athletes will earn it in a year. So you'd think that they probably have quite the financial freedom and wealth built, but that isn't necessarily the case. In their study, they found that with NFL athletes, they looked at where they were 2 years post-retirement, and they found that 22% were financially stable, but 78% were either bankrupt or under very high financial stress. And they did the same with the NBA, but only 5 years into retirement. And they found that 40% of people of these NBA athletes were financially stable, but 60% were either bankrupt or under extreme financial stress. And this isn't just a little bit of money struggles, this is bankrupt. So there's these athletes, and many of them earned maybe 2 to 10 million or more a year. And you would think that that translates into having long-term wealth, but it's not the case. For way more than half of them, it's gone. And the causes of that can be overspending, poor investments, lack of budgeting, and no long-term plan, among many reasons. But this is just one example of how not having a plan will hurt you in life. Even a very high income cannot protect you from poor planning. So, I want to ask, who are the people that do achieve financial freedom in life? Think about that. There's a study that might be able to give us some insight into that. Ramsey Solutions did a study on 10,000 millionaires, and there are some fascinating insights on it, and some of them might shock you. So, we're going to go over three that I found fascinating. Number one is 79% of millionaires are self-made. That means that they did not receive any type of inheritance. They started from ground zero and they worked to get to where they are. I think there's those classic stereotypes of trust fund babies or people that just receive these huge sums of money as an inheritance. And while, yes, that is a very easy way to gain wealth, that is not realistic for the vast majority of the population. And in reality, 79% of millionaires are self-made. So you can do it. Number two, the top careers of millionaires are engineers, accountants, teachers, managers, and attorneys. That one is the most shocking to me. We think that millionaires are these big, big names, right? Like CEOs. But They're common people. They're just common people that stuck to a financial plan and consistently added to it and stuck with it throughout their lives. And then that gave them that financial freedom, that wealth. And number three, Fidelity Investments found that their average 401k millionaire is 59 years old with 26 years of consistently saving with the same company. So that is 26 years of consistent work and dedication, and that is what builds wealth. That isn't the big sums of selling a company. That's working with an ordinary income, but just being consistent and following a plan and living within your means. So that is the power of a financial plan. It transforms ordinary income into extraordinary results. And if those extraordinary results can come from just following a simple financial plan and consistently investing in it, imagine what you can do with the help and assistance of a financial advisor. Financial advisors are people that have dedicated their lives to growing people's wealth, and they take those complicated and confusing financial concepts and they help you work on them and pinpoint goals and help you achieve those goals. Smart Asset did analysis and found that those who used a financial advisor for over 30 years had a 36 to 212% higher net worth than they would have had if they hadn't used an advisor for that time. And there are many type of people that can use an advisor. I know a man that is a very, very smart man, and he is an expert in finance, but he does not do his own financial planning. He is very, very intelligent. He has degrees that can help him do financial planning, but he chooses to have someone else make his financial plan and guide him through that because of a wide variety of reasons. But the main one being is there's so much emotion tied to our finances. And a financial advisor is able to keep you consistent and level-headed and keep you on track to reach that destination. When it's you doing it, your emotions can overcome you. And if there's certain investments, for example, that are tanking, but the data shows that you should stay in there or maybe even buy more, it's hard to not want to sell and get money from that because you think you're going to lose everything. So that's one of the benefits of having an advisor. And I like to think of it as an advisor is like a GPS instead of a map, right? So let's say we're on that road trip, like I mentioned before, and you have an old school big old paper map. That will help you get from point A to point B, but it's a little bit less inefficient. It's a little bit more inefficient, and you can get lost along the way. And once you get lost, it's harder to get back on track. But a GPS is like having a financial advisor. They keep you consistent, and if you do go off, if there's a little bit change in your plan, they'll make sure that you still reach your destination. And now I just want to go over a couple of takeaways. So, number one is only 36% of people have a financial plan. This really is such a low number, and of course, we want to increase that. That may include you. So, please take the time to just write out a financial plan. It doesn't have to be complex, it can be simple. And if you have the means or the time, you can reach out to a financial advisor and work with them, and they will help you achieve your biggest dreams. Two, ordinary people who plan build lasting wealth. It can be ordinary salaries, but as long as they can plan and stick to their plans, that is what builds wealth. And number three, guidance amplifies results. So working with a financial advisor, for example, can very, very much increase your results and your net worth in life. So, and remember, if teachers and engineers can become millionaires by following a plan, and athletes can lose millions without one, then the message is clear. The plan is what makes the difference. I just want to end with this quote. It says, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." Thank you.